Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video tutorial, we will learn about Python Lambda functions, or also it called anonymous function, with the help of examples. A Lambda function in Python is a special type of function that is used for very short and simple tasks. It is called Lambda because it is named after the Lambda calculus, and which is a mathematical concept. Think of a Lambda function is like a shortcut or a mini function that you can use when you don't want to write a whole function with a name and everything. So it is like a tiny function that you can create and use right away without having to give it a name. Right. So here is an example of a Lambda function that adds two numbers. For example, I have created a Lambda function. The variable here is add is equal to Lambda, because I'm going to add two numbers using Lambda function here, and x, y, and x plus y. So here the return function will be, result, not return. The result will be add parenthesis 4 5. So print result. If we do this and if I run here, you can see the result printed out 9, right? 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. This is how the Lambda function actually we can use to add the numbers. So in this example, the Lambda keyword is used to define a function that takes two arguments called x and y. X is one of the arguments and y is another argument, so and adds them together. So the result is then stored in the variable result, because I have assigned as a result here, and then printed to the console. If we do like print result, right? So it already printed here 9. So it is one of the example of using or creating Lambda function in Python. So instead of writing all the full function with a name, you can see here I use a Lambda function to create a quick and simple function on the fly, to add the numbers. And Lambda functions can be especially useful when you need to pass a function as an argument to another, right? So like in other functions we have here in Python, like map function and also or filter functions. So overall, in conclusion, Lambda functions are a simple and powerful tool in Python that can help you write more concise and efficient code, as you can see here, right? So Lambda function declaration. So we use a Lambda keyword instead of def to create a Lambda function. Here is a syntax to declare the Lambda function. So how can we declare Lambda function, right? So here you can see I have just put an example here like Lambda. Then after that we have to put argument, same as above. I put here x and y, and or multiple argument we also can assign here, and also expression. So this is called expression here, x plus y, like that. So but the problem is here in this statement here in using Lambda argument and functions. Arguments, we have to understand is argument any value passed to the Lambda functions, because we have to define argument to the Lambda functions, otherwise it cannot give us a correct result. And also expression is executed and returned as a result, as we can see here. It is like expression. This is like expression, and the result is like returning as an expression again. So it is how printed the result here. So that let's see another example. I have created I have named a variable here called greet is equal to Lambda print hello world. So here we have defined a lambda function and assigned it to a variable named greet, right? So to execute to lambda function, we need to call it. Here is how we can call the lambda function, something like greet and parenthesis. I mean, this is a greet function also. We can call greet function also. So if we do this, and the lambda function above simply prints text hello world, because we already assigned here, we already given the name here, the variable name greet here. So if we call the lambda function using lambda function and greet parenthesis greet function here, in the next line, it will be printed out the result that we have assigned, I mean given here. That means print hello world, right? So one of the things we have to understand here is this lambda functions actually doesn't have any argument, right? So that we don't have any argument. So here is, that's why it simply prints hello world. So example, we declare lambda function here again for your better understanding about this lambda function. Greet is equal to lambda print hello world, as same as above. And then now I have to call lambda function here by just simply type greet function, and output will be hello world. In this example, we have defined lambda function and assigned to a greet variable. This means this variable here, because it is greet is equal to lambda here, right? So when we call the lambda function, the print statement here inside the lambda function is executed, because here we can see that a print function here, print statement here, that means hello world inside lambda function, so that if you print, it will be printed out hello world. So this is how it works. So Python lambda function and an argument, we have to understand lambda function with an argument, because without argument there will be something like different in you know, using when we use this function. Sometimes we will have no argument even, but mostly we have to, you know, put or give argument. So similar to normal functions, the lambda function can also accept arguments. For example, I just created here greet underscore user. Greet underscore user is a variable here, lambda function here, and then name lambda function. I have assigned argument name, and I have put the print statement hello there and name. So I call the lambda function here. That means greet user, because I already given here as a variable. That means greet user inside the parenthesis here. I have given the name because we have to give name here, and then the output will be hello there RAM, right? You can see here result. So in this example, we have assigned a lambda function to greet user variable again, and here the name after the lambda keyword specifies that lambda function accepts the argument named name, right? This is an argument I already mentioned, and also the notice the call of lambda function. This is where I'm calling lambda function here, and then output is already you can see here, hey there RAM. So greet user underscore user RAM. So it is like we have passed a string value RAM here to our lambda function, right? So finally the statement inside the lambda function is executed. So how to use lambda function with filter functions? The filter function in Python takes in a function and an iterable, repeatable list, tuples, and strings as an argument. The function is called with all the items in the list, and a new list is returned which contains item of for which function evaluates to true. So let's see an example for your better understanding. The program to filter out only the even items from a list. I have given here my underscore list as a variable name. Here is equal to, I have created name 1 5 4 6 8 11 30 3 and 12, right? So I again created new list here. New underscore list is equal to list filter of lambda function x, lambda and argument x, where I have given a statement here. That means where x is, or this argument divided by 2 is equal to 0, my list. That means print new list, right? So the output will be 4 6 8 12. So how to use lambda function with map function? This is another important thing that we have to understand. The map function in Python takes a function and an iterable lists, tuples and strings as arguments. Understand that lists, tuples and strings inside these map functions. So the function is called with all the items in the list, and a new list is returned which contains item returned by that function for each item, as an example as given above. But here is different thing because we are using lambda function with map function, right? So let me describe here in an example here. So I have created a program to double each item in a list using map function here. For example, I created a variable named my underscore list is equal to, I have given a list here from number 1 5 6 4 6 8 11 3 12, and new list, my new list, I just created a list function, list, and I created again map function here. Inside map function I just include lambda function, and x is also as an argument here. So if we multiply by 2 in these numbers, that means we can create a new list here. That means that will be outward. So 2 times 1 is equal to 2, 2 times 5 is equal to 10, 2 times 4 is equal to 8, 2 times 6 is equal to 12, 2 times 6 is equal to 16, 8 is equal to 16, and 2 times 11 is equal to 22, 2 times 3 is equal to 6, and 2 times 12 is equal to 24, right? So this is how we assign here to the lambda function from the map function to calculate x multiplication 2. Firstly, we didn't do anything. You understand that new list is just creating a new list is equal to list here, because we have to put inside a map function and lambda function inside list here, and then again we created a map function. So inside map function we created lambda function, and we have to give argument here for these numbers, right? So so argument here, and then if the argument multiplication by 2, that means my list, so the my new list, print new list, that means new list, right? New list is a new variable here, so this will be printed out. Let's run and see it. See, so this is how map functions, also we can use lambda functions with map functions in Python.